This is pitch raising fundamentals for the piano technician. In areas where the humidity changes throughout the year, the pitch of a piano can go from right at 440 to up to 50 cents flat to sharp, and it requires that a piano technician would need to tune prior to tuning is actually what it works out. Because what happens if we have a piano, instead of at pitch, this is 10 cents, 20 cents, which is roughly A435, 30 cents, 40 cents, 50 cents. If you come to a piano that's 50 cents flat, just tune it up to pitch in any manner you use, going across the piano or bouncing through it. When you come back to check it after you're done tuning, it will have dropped, which means then you'd tune it again, and then it would drop less, and tune it again, and then it would drop less. It requires a lot of tuning to get through the instrument and get it stable. Instead, what it's been found is if we overpull the piano certain amounts, if we look at the piano here, there's plain wire strings. These can take up to about a 30% overpull, meaning that if the piano started out 30% flat, take a third of that, it would be 10 cents sharp to let it drift back down to A440. The wound strings, the longer bass strings, are in the 10 to 15% range to overpull. They require less overpulling. Now, the people that have used machines have discovered that the most precise way of doing this is to start from A0 and tune the piano all the way up to C88. You can think of it like wallpaper. Try to get bubbles out of the wallpaper. You can press in certain areas and the bubbles kind of stay around, or we're going to take a squeegee and simply wipe the pressure from one end of the board, one end of the frame, all the way to the other, letting it settle behind your tuning movements. So back to this idea of this third overpull. The constraining part of that is that there's a limit where you run into the possibility of breaking strings or putting too much strain on it. And that limit is usually around 20-25 cents for the plain wire strings, maybe 10 or 15 cents again for the bass strings. If we look at our meter again, and the only reason I'm using this meter is because of the needle, makes it easy to see. The red mark here is at 440. Instead of the center of this gauge being 440, it's this mark here is 440. Like I said, if we're at this 50 to 60 cents flat range, a third of that is about 20 cents sharp, which is running into our limit of our overpull for safety. What that means is that if you've got a pitch raise of over 60 cents, 70 cents, it doesn't make sense to individually measure each string because you're going to be hitting the limit. You can set it at the limit, do the first pass as quickly as you can at that 20 cents over, and the piano will probably still be a little bit flat for the second pitch raise or your fine adjustment level. Anything less than that, precision pitch raise allows you again to use this squeegee motion of going from one side to the other to accurately predict the pitch drop after you're done, so that you can end up right on your calculation within a cent, 2 cents, maybe 3 cents. So for even a piano that is 10 cents flat, you'd think it's pretty close. You could just tune it on pitch. Actually, if you measure each one and then average and go to that 3 cents over, you should end up right on pitch, really close to pitch after you're done. And again, 20 or 30 cents. With this type of meter, you can see the distance here, the angle here. You'd want about a third of that distance to go sharp. If I hold it there, we just know, well, we'd have to tune it about that sharp. And that's how all the pitch raise functions of the machines work. They're mostly automated in the machines that are available now, allowing you with some sampling, with a little bit of slowdown, to make sure that the measurement is correct for where the string started in pitch. You can end up with a very solid first tuning in preparation for a good final tune. Now there are two examples of the need for pitch raising. One is the seasonally affected piano, and the other is the neglected piano. That being one that has not been tuned for a long time, and you find troubles where it's extraordinarily flat. Now this piano, I want to show between, this one was not tuned very long ago, but the humidity is now rising. So in the, here we are in the last wound string, the piano is still fairly close to where I left it. Where we cross right over into the first plain wire string, we're already drifting sharp. Now if I enable the overpull, it shows how the machine measures, and at that 30% level would tell me that if it measures 4 cents flat now, I should then be tuning about 1 cent and a little bit flat. And it gives me the numbers here, 3/7 sharp right now, and I should tune it about 1.5 cents flat. The last item for consideration is in the neglected piano, where you may have some strings that are showing some signs of corrosion. You might be pulling it up a very lot, and you want to be careful that as you pull the string sharp, there's this short section that's going to pull sharp first, and it may be caught in these friction points. So one idea that people do is to release the tension downward first before pulling up. So it goes something like this. There's our E flat again. So see how it's just a tip to bring it back into pitch. The idea being that if you release tension, any corrosion, anything that's binding on the string will get shifted out of the way, and then as you pull it, you'll be less of a chance to increase the tension, the short section, too much to where you'd get a break along here. I do know that some people will use some CPL or something to lubricate the area. I normally don't find that's necessary, except where there's in some of the Steinways or some of the other pianos that have a the string go over a felt section that it can grab on a lot. So this will be a short demonstration of a pitch lowering. Actually, I've got about a 1/2 octave here. Then I'm just going to move through. This is using the Tuner on the Pocket PC platform. I wanted to just display this as one of the options. There's Rayburn Cyburn Tuner, TuneLab, and the Sanderson AccuTuner, which all have pitch adjustment capabilities. If I want, I can display all 3 of the targets, which are so close together at this point. But you can see how the automated function works. That as I first sound the note, it measures how sharp it is or how flat it would be. So if I had a note, so say this G was here, reading 25 cents flat, it would then give me the target overpulse that I could pitch the piano to so that it would sag back down.